Well, good afternoon, everyone. Michael Soothing here. Gonna talk today about California, Nevada, and Hawaii map. I've had a request to do another map video, so we discuss a little bit what kind of places. I haven't opened this yet. It's really old. So I'm not sure how good or bad a map it is, but we'll get into it and find out. Here's a little photo of Hearst Castle on the front there, as you can see. And we'll see what else might be in here. Oh, look, the Napa wine growing region, I think. And a slot machine from Las Vegas, since Nevada's part of this. The Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. We went over that not long ago, actually. And here's Yosemite. Yosemite Falls in Yosemite Valley, California, in the Sierras. So let's get to the map and see what kind of things we can find and talk about, shall we? All right, everybody. Here we are with the California, Nevada, and Hawaii road map. I cannot see the viewfinder of a little display on the camera because when I have the Tascam plugged into it, it blocks a little LCD, so I have to just assume you can see all of this. I mean, I set that up in advance, but I'm not seeing what you see, so we'll do our best. If I'm off screen a little bit, bear with me. This came from Best Western, I guess, but it shows some of the highlights. Do you recognize that building? It's Hearst Castle on the California coast. And this is, of course, the Golden Gate Bridge, Nevada, gaming slot machine, you know. I will do a poker video in the not too distant future, but let's open this up and see what we find. There's a whole big list of points of interest. We won't go over all of them, but I'll mention a few that I'm familiar with as we look at the map together. Oh, look. Here's Las Vegas right here. I can feel the heat coming off the map. It's usually about 112 there this time of year. In fact, Joanne and I were there exactly 1 year ago for getting married. But anyway, soon we'll have an anniversary. In the last map video I did, we talked about Southern California. I don't remember now exactly everything that we went through, but I don't want to repeat it. I will say this. If you go southeast of LA, there's this big inland artificial sea called the Salton Sea. It was caused by a diversion of the Colorado River back in the 1930s or so. And they put resorts around it once upon a time. But now it's filled with toxic metals and stuff because all the water that's flowed in there has been drained off from areas where they used a lot of chemicals and stuff. So the fish all die. I wouldn't go there. But there's an area, a resort, which is known as Palm Springs, which is not too far from there. Where is Palm Springs? I've got to find it. Here it is, right up here. And if you go there, you can go on this big tram that goes up the side of a mountain. Goes from roasting hot to nice and cool because it climbs several thousand feet. I can't remember the name of the mountain and the tram, but I went on it when I was younger. We saw a sidewinder rattlesnake as we were walking the path that goes to the tram entrance. That shows you what that area is like. I will have to sip water frequently as we go through the map today. If you go up the coast out of LA on Highway 101, you'll come to a nice town called Santa Barbara. Beautiful place. We went there a lot when I was a kid. It's a lot like, in some ways, a small version of San Diego, which is palm trees, Art Deco architecture mixed in with Spanish architecture. Quite nice. Good place to visit. Beaches, all that kind of thing. Unfortunately for LA, it's been a hot, dry summer, the third one in a row. And these mountains up here, and some of the vegetation that's dry up in this area, very soon may have some wildfires because you get something in late September, early October, called the Santa Ana winds. As summer gets close to fall and winter, these very high winds come out from this side, and they go this way, bringing all the hot, dry air. And if anything ignites out here, you get these wildfires in the mountains there. Sometimes it affects the wealthy enclaves along the coast, like Malibu Canyon and places like that, where the celebrities and movie stars live. But let's not talk negative. Maybe they'll be spared this year, although it's been a terrible year for wildfires in California further up. Okay, so this is the Central Valley, Highway 5, where they grow all the crops for a good part of the country. But if you go up Highway 101, you see the coast along a good portion of the route. And there are some great places to visit. King City's not one of them. It's just a little cow town, basically, sort of ranch area. Paso Robles here used to be just a ranch town, but now it's growing like crazy because there's vineyards all around here. Very good California wine growing region. And so people do wine tours here. And so watch how you drive there because, you have to watch out for people that have had a few too many samples. If you're in Paso Robles, you can take this beautiful little highway, 146. Or is it just 46? Oh, it's just 46, not 146. Highway 46, if you're here in California, you can take it east and go out this way to Highway 5 to some of the ugliest terrain you'll ever see, but this is our growing region out here. James Dean, the famous movie star that starred in East of Eden, he died out on this highway because he made an unsafe pass, I think, and wrecked his car. He had a fast car. Did I tell you this before? Anyway, let's skip that. Instead, you will go west on Highway 46, and you'll come to a beautiful portion of coastline. And Morro Bay is south of that spot, and it's a very nice little beach town to visit. Restaurants and, small town atmosphere. If you go north, you'll come to a really interesting little town called Cambria. Great place to visit. If you go a little north of there, this is where I have collected many agates and jaspers along the beaches that go through this region. Once upon a time, I wouldn't have told you about it for fear that many would go there, but I don't feel that way anymore. And then the Santa Lucia Range, I'm going to fold part of this map so that we can move it up where we can see more of it. I hope that's not too loud on the video. Let's unfold some more. And continue traveling north. Alright. As we were saying, this is the Big Sur Coast when you get north of Cambria. And just a little ways north of Cambria, you come to Hearst Castle. That's William Randolph Hearst. That famous movie was made about him, but they changed the name, Citizen Kane. If you ever have a chance to watch it, that's really all about his life, and it kind of bashes on him for being a wealthy, egocentric, eccentric kind of guy, but he built this amazing castle with hundreds of rooms and thousands of artifacts imported from all over the world. Maybe I'll try to splice in a couple of photos when I edit this video, because we visited there also. If you continue north on Highway 1, the Big Sur Coast is some of the most rugged and beautiful coastline you'll ever see. It's quite amazing. And when you keep going, this would be about a three-hour drive from Cambria to Monterey, but that's if you're not stopping. And there's not much place to stop along here, so make sure you fill up your gas tank down here if you're taking this route. Or if you're going south, you gotta fill up in Monterey before you go south, okay? Because if you're coming from the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, you would come down this way, take the notorious Highway 17. This is where I used to live, right here. The north end of Monterey Bay, Santa Cruz. This thing looks a little like, well, never mind. Anyway, Monterey Canyon is this big underwater canyon that goes off here, and it brings cold water up here, so you have fog in the summertime. And if I went over all this before, I apologize, because I have not rewatched my map video. So let's move on in a fairly expeditious fashion and get to some things that I probably didn't discuss before. For example, you can go up to another beautiful stretch of coast. and you can go up Highway 1, but it's quite windy. From San Francisco, you can go take a little jag out here, and you can go up Highway 1. It's a beautiful drive, but it'll take a long time, and it's pretty windy. And you'll come to Bodega Bay after not too long of the drive, which is where they filmed the Alfred Hitchcock film, The Birds. Except now, instead of a sleepy little town, it's become quite built up and busy. Point Reyes National Seashore is really a beautiful spot. Bodega Bay is up here, actually right there. And then if you keep going all the way up here, you'll come to a lot of beautiful and unspoiled beaches. And this is where there are abalones and things for those who want to dive for them. And eventually you'll get up to Mendocino, a beautiful little town that is preserved in its pristine state, the way it was all the way back in the 1920s and 30s and 40s. The town passed an ordinance. No one can put a brand new structure or a McDonald's or anything like that there. So if you want to see a town that's the way it was long ago, Mendocino's a great spot. There's also some beautiful tide pools and things you can walk to right from the town main drag. Just a few minute walk. There's a beautiful bay right there with blue water. It's an artist enclave. Artists like to be here in Mendocino. And then if you go, what did they film here? Many movies, but one of the most famous would be also East of Eden was with James Dean, was made there, Mendocino. As we were talking about him previously. If you go just a few miles further north, you'll come to the old port town, lumber town, Fort Bragg. And that's also an interesting little city to visit. You can get on a narrow gauge railroad train here, and it will take you up into the mountains. It'll take you all the way inland to Willits if you want to go that far, which is over on Highway 101. This is called the Redwood Empire area of California, all the way from, the redwoods, the big sempervirens, that's the technical name for them. They grow from about the Big Sur Coast all the way up California to about here, and that's the only area in the world where this species of redwoods grows. They've kind of been eradicated everywhere else. So there's beautiful places, state and national parks where you can go visit the redwoods. Santa Cruz County has some where I used to live down there. Big Basin State Park, for example. Look that up if you're ever there. And there's a narrow gauge railroad down there too. A short ride you can take. And it takes you to the beach in Santa Cruz also. So it's not narrow gauge, that part, but the same place goes, the same railroad line goes there. Anyway, as we continue north, eventually you've got to cut over to Highway 101, because Highway 1, it's too rugged down here for them to continue. So you have to cut over to Highway 101. Then you can continue to drive up here and go through towns like Fortuna come to another big logging town, port town, which is called Eureka. And there's some big flat lagoon bays here. Arcata's kind of a nice little town here. Arcata has Humboldt State University there, and it's not a bad place to stay if you're going up the coast. Eureka is kind of a rough town, and it's definitely working class, and quite a few homeless and stuff have gravitated to this area because of the climate. Mild in the winter, mild in the summer. Much cooler in the summer, and it's warmer in the winter because you've got this giant Pacific Ocean out here which moderates the temperatures. It's about 68 degrees right now, and has been for weeks where I live, as the rest of the country swelters in 85 to 105 degree weather. I was watching some of the tennis in New York, and it was something like 114 degrees down at courtside, So anyway, continuing further north, we stopped at a little town. You can go up Highway 101 here. And we stopped at a little town called Klamath last time, a few weeks ago, when we were coming up north after dropping Maria at the airport. Klamath, there's a little Indian casino there, the Yurok tribe, and a Best Western, which is a pretty nice little hotel. And there's not much for miles around there. But there's a tourist spot. I don't normally recommend tourist trap spots at all, but this one's worth seeing. The Trees of Mystery. It's these giant redwoods, all different types and shapes and ages. And there's a tram that takes you to the top of the mountain, and there's a path that goes to the tram through all these very interesting redwood formations that they've named. I do recommend this tourist trap. It's only about one out of, if I would say, 7 or 8 places that are recommended to go. It's the only one I would select out and say, yeah, it's worth going. Especially if you don't have a lot of time to explore the coast. If you have a lot of time, then you could see some of the same things by going to some of the big redwood state parks. Also, when you get up here, you should take the scenic route part of the way. Instead of Highway 101, you can get off the highway and you can go on a scenic route that takes you through the big redwoods, Anyway, continuing on, we come to Crescent City. Then we get up to Oregon, which we'll talk about some other time on an Oregon map. But meanwhile, let's explore Nevada just a little bit, all right? First of all, if you're in the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area, by the way, if you've been seeing those giant fires on the news and you're not from California, the fire regions are up here by Redding, a very hot area. There's a national forest out here Crest National Forest, Trinity, the Siskiyou Mountains are in the area, but the big fires are up in this region, and they go all the way. Some are up in Oregon too, southern Oregon. So the sky's been filled with smoke all up here, which is bad for my brother because he owns a resort here in this area by Dunsmuir, and he's lost a lot of bookings because people don't want to come up this summer where all the smoke and fires are, quite naturally. But anyway, if you were in the Bay Area and you wanted to go out to Nevada, your best route is to go through Sacramento. And if you want to go to Reno, that's an easy drive going out Highway 80 like this. And they have casinos here. It's the desert, but it's usually not really, really hot the way Las Vegas is because it's up higher and it's right by the mountains. It's a beautiful place to visit in the fall. You can take in the late fall, say mid-October, you can go out here and you can go down this highway. I think it's Highway 395 or something. I'm having trouble reading it because the print's pretty small for my eyes, but if you go south from Reno through Carson City and along here, and you take this little road that goes up to Lake Tahoe, you can see some beautiful formations of fall colors. The what are those called? Aspens? The aspens and other kinds of trees that turn vivid colors in the fall. You could go around the south edge of the lake to South Lake Tahoe. Very beautiful area to visit. I've gone here many times, especially in the fall. Great spot. But if you kept going out here, you would be out in desert terrain where there's not a lot of people, not a lot of towns, small towns, tiny until you get way out to Elko, places like that. Las Vegas is way down south in the southern desert. We won't talk Vegas today. I think we talked about Vegas before. Of course, Yosemite's down here. And if you were to go down Highway 395, quite a ways, in the fall, you could come into Yosemite from this direction, and it is again a very beautiful drive. We actually saw a wild wolf here when we came in from that direction. Big gray wolf right about there. So anyway, what else? Let's talk. This map says it has Hawaii. It must be on the other side. Let's find out. We have San Francisco and vicinity. LA. This is a kind of a jarring juxtaposition because we've got Los Angeles down here and then Oahu, Hawaii right above it on the map, I don't recommend LA as a destination in the summer. It's rather smoggy. If you're gonna go there, go in the winter when the air quality's better and it's still warm because it's Southern California. It'll be sunny and warm, but you'll be able to go to, Disneyland and Hollywood and the beaches and all that kind of stuff in better weather. I hope they have more than just Oahu here for Hawaii, because I have not explored Oahu. I have gone to the other islands. Let's see what we can find. We have Oahu on that side. Oh, I won't be able to talk about the Hawaiian Islands because they only have the populated one. And that's not the one I recommend going to if you want the true flavor of the Hawaiian Islands. Of course, if you go to Oahu, what you would want, here's Honolulu and the big crater that you see all the time. And I know there are points of interest here, which Joanne and I will probably go explore sometime. And if you drive out to the eastern side of the island and go up this way, I'm sure it's beautiful up there. But the islands that I recommend for true tropical beauty and not so much congestion would be Kauai, which is also known as the Garden Isle, and Maui. Those are better places to visit, in my humble opinion. Now, since we don't have the other Hawaiian Islands, let's talk about San Diego a little bit. I used to go work down here all the time. And earlier in my career in aerospace, it's quite a fascinating place. They have a big naval base here, and you can see the ships coming and going. This is Coronado Island here. And Coronado Island has this fascinating bridge that goes out to it right here. Someone's going to say to me, you should have held the map up close so that we could see what we were talking about. And you're absolutely right, I should have. But it's hard to juggle all of it because I can't see. If I zoom in, I can't quite see on the viewfinder what you're seeing. Let's see if I can adjust it just a little bit so that I can get it to stay in place. Yeah, I've got it a little bit. We'll try zooming in just a little bit and talk about San Diego before we wrap things up. My son Dan, the autistic one, joined the Marines when he was young, but he had trouble getting through basic because of hand-to-eye coordination issues. But anyway, he couldn't pass riflery. He could pass all the difficult, strenuous physical stuff, but because he's a real strong young kid, but he had trouble with riflery. Anyway, he went to visit because he remembers being in training there, and the Marine bases, I think, up in this area, but or they're right here, I think. Yeah, the U.S. Marine base is right down here where they do training, and there's the naval base here too. The ships and even submarines. There's a submarine base down here, and they come in and you can see them coming in and out. It's quite fascinating. But anyway, a lot of nice hotels are up here in Mission Bay. It has these 4 arms, and then in between you can drive out in these green areas. And La Jolla Boulevard goes here. San Diego is full of great things to see. The Miramar Naval Station for flight jet aircraft is up here. This is like desert up here. That's where they filmed Top Gun, with Tom Cruise and the wacky Scientologist who's a good actor. And there's another air base here that military aircraft use. And the San Diego airport is further up here. Alright, so anyway, or wait, no, it's down there, I think. Yeah. But anyway, if you were to go out to Coronado Island on this bridge, you would see the Coronado Hotel, which is where many celebrities stayed back in the heyday of Hollywood. And they have photos of all of them. Go into the lobby there and check it out. It was a deluxe hotel of its day. Still quite expensive. If you're in San Diego, you would want to drive out to Point Loma. You go out here and go up this road all the way to the end. And it's up kind of high, so you can see down over San Diego this way and the ocean this way. And there's a statue of who is the guy, the explorer. Anyway, was it Coronado? No, I can't remember the guy's name. But you'll see the explorer, the Spanish explorer, who came and found this region. If you're out on Coronado Island, you can also drive down what's called the Silver Strand Boulevard. And there's a big, long beach. So it actually kind of connects the island to the mainland from way down here. But in San Diego proper, you gotta go over this little bridge. And then Tijuana, Mexico is way down here. Once upon a time, I would tell you to go visit because it's a fascinating place. But nowadays, I would say, since the drug gangs have taken over the southern border, I would say visit Tijuana only during the day with groups of other people. Then it would be interesting and a little safer. All right, anyway, you can buy things here like, I didn't show you. I have to get it in view. See, I told you I couldn't see. You can buy things here like fake Rolex watches for $30, right? Stuff like that. Not that I recommend you do that. They're made in China, all that knockoff stuff. I don't recommend it, but there's a red train trolley thing that goes from San Diego down to Tijuana to the border. It's called the Tijuana trolley. That's one good way to get down there without fighting traffic. And let's see what else. Well, there's a lot to do down here. There's many great beaches to go to. There's a amusement park called Pacific Park somewhere down here in this area. And I actually went fishing in Mission Bay and caught some rockfish here, that are tasty. Some people catch large bass if they fish the lakes around San Diego, warm water lakes. There are famous golf courses, of course, along La Jolla Boulevard, places like that. What else? Oh, one of the most famous zoos in the world is in San Diego. It's this Balboa Park, this green patch that's close to the city. And actually, when you fly into San Diego, you fly right over Balboa Park usually and land here. It's a bit scary because you have to come right over some houses and a little hill and Balboa Park. This is an interesting place, even if you don't go to the zoo. There are museum buildings and a big park with all kinds of things. And if you're one of those who don't like zoos because you don't want to see animals confined, you can go to the wildlife, what's it called? It's like wildlife safari place or something that's not far, where the animals just roam freely down there, and they have a real nice one. You go around on a little train or something, a trolley. But anyway, San Diego's a nice place to visit. We talked about LA before, so I won't talk about LA so much today. The North Coast, one of my subbies and I were discussing how you can get abalone shells. If you want to hunt for them, you hunt for them up along the coast by some of the hidden beaches that are up above Fort Bragg or south of, mostly north of Fort Bragg, up through here, I would say. And some down through here also, south of Fort Bragg. This section of coast is not visited. Whoops, let me show you. This section of coast is not visited quite so much because it's so remote and hard to get to, you know. Most people who go to Fort Bragg take this little highway, which I can't quite read, 128, because it's not so windy. They go up Highway 101 like this. They take 128 and it takes them right to Mendocino and Fort Bragg. That's the easiest route. But if you want some rugged coastal coves and beaches, then go south down along here, along Highway 1, and you'll find beaches that have abalone shells and stuff that have washed up in the wintertime, actually. That's when you would look there. Alright. Well, we did a pretty long video, so I'm going to stop there and just say what I always tell you, which is don't ASMR drive. Alright. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.